You might be really excited about AI, but not sure where to start or how to get the most value from it, and think you need a strategy before you dive too much into it. Or you're sick of hearing about it and think it's all hype, which will soon die down. And I think you can be right on both counts. One thing I'm seeing a lot of is doing things in the wrong order and thinking AI can be a magic wand that can fix a business or suddenly make it great. I'm also seeing people selling their wonderful systems that they've created using these magical tools, which you can use too to get the same magical results. The reality, though, is that if AI is brought in to fix rather than enhance, it soon amplifies what was wrong or presents the same old strategy and outputs as everyone else, which is starting to create a sea of really loud, mediocre businesses. Welcome to this week's episode of Make Time, where I'll talk through a better sequence of adoption and how, when used intentionally, AI can amplify what makes your business great. I'm your host, Sam, and I'm passionate about helping you and your business to thrive, and thank you for joining me this week. I'm going to start by telling you a bit of a personal story. My husband and I are complete opposites. It's actually quite ludicrous how opposite we are. If I'm trying to find where he parked the car in the car park, I simply go the opposite direction to what I would go. When it comes to our work, we're also opposite. For example, when AI became more accessible, he jumped on it and basically tried everything, building this and building that and using this tool and that tool. I, on the other hand, spent time learning how the systems work and were trained, and then considered how I could use it and what I would expect as an output. I also spent time developing naming conventions and cleaning up data. I then considered the right tools for that particular outcome, and when it didn't get the outcome I wanted, I tried a different tool. His light touch and lots versus my depth and a few gave us very different perspectives on the technology, and, to be honest, enabled us both to develop similar capability until it came to agentic AI. Now, agentic AI is where AI runs independently to design, execute, and optimize workflows. AI agents can make decisions and adapt to achieve predefined goals with less of your input, less human input, and the depth of consideration for expected outcomes, sprinkled with a little bit of rubrics from my academic background, which is basically an output guide we use to make learning expectations visible in our programs, meant that the outputs were getting significantly better and more consistent. And the bonus was that this also used less tokens, which is the unit used to measure AI use. I wanted to test that this would be the case across the board. And as we started to integrate using AI tools in all of our programs, we could measure the impact this was having on the participants in the programs too. So we started gathering data from our alumni pre-AI being embedded in our learning experiences to understand their use of AI and the outcomes they were getting versus those that were on more recent programs with AI embedded. And whilst we still continue to gather data to ensure the sample size properly reflects our confidence in stating that this specific depth of understanding and use of expectations produces the best outputs, our initial findings showed that this is the case. I get a bit annoyed when people say, oh, just give it a try, as they tend to be people who might be employed by someone else and don't fully understand the lack of available time a small business leader has and the cost of integrating new technology into a business when you're still trying to ensure you can get paid every month. I'm also a bit disheartened when I see a lot of free workshops and education around using AI for social media. I know that social media is probably one of the biggest challenges small businesses face, and we think that's the ideal solution to getting customers. But when it comes to what content to produce, how to produce it, and scheduling it whilst running the business, using AI is not always the best strategy. And I know there's definitely been a bit of a backlash against AI-generated content because of it taking away that human-to-human connection. So what do you do? If you've been running the business for a few years, Your customer data is probably accumulated, possibly in one system, maybe across 3 different systems. Some contacts are in an old CRM, some in a spreadsheet, some in an email marketing platform. And there's probably a bit of an overlap. There's incomplete information and data that was partially imported, but maybe never properly reconciled. If you bring in AI to assist you in your operations now, the AI is processing that data and producing confident-looking, precise outputs from a foundation really of fragmented, inconsistent information. Essentially, what we've done there is deployed intelligence on top of chaos. If we didn't get the tool to clean up the chaos, it made the chaos move faster and look more authoritative. And that's what I mean by doing things in the right order. I used to use the phrase, you wouldn't invite anyone over until you'd cleaned your house, in reference to getting your funnel or your website sorted when you're trying to attract people to your business. And so you wouldn't put them off by a dirty home or lose them in the funnel. But I think the same can be said for AI. You wouldn't bring AI in until you've first done a bit of cleaning and worked out exactly what AI can enhance and what that should look like in your business. To understand why sequence matters so much, you need to understand what AI actually is at a fundamental level for most businesses. Erik Brynjolfsson, whose research at Stanford's Digital Economy Lab has studied how organizations capture value from technology across close to a decade. He offers it as this framing: AI is a multiplier of the capability already present in a business. It isn't a substitute for capability, as in you can't get AI to be something, create things for you. It's a multiplier of existing capabilities. Companies that capture AI's value have the capability infrastructure underneath it. Companies that don't have that infrastructure get very different results from the same tool. So AI amplifies what already exists. If your data is structured and your processes are documented and your team understands how decisions get made in the business, AI makes all of that faster and more precise. The capability was already there. AI accelerates it and extends it. But if your data's fragmented, your processes live primarily in someone's head, and decision-making is inconsistent, AI makes all of that faster too. The problems that existed before AI existed didn't disappear. They just accelerated. They became more visible and harder to attribute to their actual source because now they're wrapped in the authority of an AI-generated output. There are so many good tools out there that are capable of a lot of things, but it isn't a question about the tool itself. It's what the tool is being used for, because the quality of what is underneath determines the output, not the capability of the tool itself. So instead of spending any energy evaluating a tool or giving something a try, reading the reviews or comparing features, watching demos maybe or running trials, ask, is the environment the tool needs to build on actually ready? Is your business ready? So if sequencing is the answer, what does the right sequence actually look like? In Deloitte's 2026 State of AI in the Enterprise survey, they looked at what differentiates businesses that consistently capture value from AI from those that don't. It tracked senior leaders across multiple sectors, and the findings were quite consistent. The high-performing group is not using fundamentally different tools, but they differed on 3 things. Clarity of AI strategy, meaning that they know specifically what AI should and shouldn't be doing in the business. Redesigning how their organization operates to support AI, meaning that the processes and structures underneath the AI are prepared for it. And cross-functional leadership engagement, meaning AI decisions are not owned by one person or one department. Everyone's involved. And so this can apply to small business too. We need to know why, what, and how to use it, and what to expect from the AI tool before we begin. Secondly, we need to make sure we've got the right foundations in place so as not to create more chaos or more noise or distraction in our already busy schedules. And we need to make sure everyone who needs to be involved and aware is, so that the whole business is in on the strategy. They understand how it's going to work. Data is the big one for me. I was definitely not the best at this. You know what it's like. You download something onto your desktop to attach to something else. It doesn't have the right file name. And then gradually over time, you've got multiple items on your desktop, and then you pop them into a folder called to sort, especially if you're presenting somewhere, to put them in a folder called to sort. And then all of a sudden you've got 3 to sort folders on your desktop or in your cloud storage. That might just be me, but you might have a similar story. That's definitely the old SAM, because the new SAM is super organized with file names and the right folders. Because before deploying AI in any meaningful area, you really need clean data, documented processes, and decision structures that are really explicit, enough for AI to augment rather than amplify confusion, to enhance what it is that you do. In practice, this is about knowing where your key business data lives and whether it's clean. Has it got the right file name? Is it in a secure private folder? Is it accessible? Have your core processes documented at a level where if you brought someone in tomorrow, they could follow them without needing to ask any questions. Have real clarity on how decisions are actually made in the business, rather than how they're supposed to be made, how they're actually made. And this doesn't have to be a really big project. It's more like a targeted check on 2 or 3 areas. Start where you're planning to use AI. You don't need to aim for perfection. The goal is sufficient structure for AI to build on something solid. After we've built the foundations, we then need to look at workflow and get clarity around where in your existing workflows would AI create the most leverage and what would it need to do there. This isn't about bringing a tool in or what tool looks most useful. It's about your workflows, how you work, and what you need to happen within it. And we don't want to fix a broken workflow as well. So this gives us a really good opportunity to consider how our business operates and whether there's a better way for us to work and serve our customers. If we went for a tool-first approach, here's how you build with Claude, or here's, following a particular tool, getting that integrated, using a particular tool that does certain things, that can lead to purchasing decisions based on the feature of that tool or the outcome the marketing messaging sold you. A workflow-first approach basically leads to decisions based on a specific understood problem or area in the business that you can focus on. And both of those approaches produce very different results. And I say this for any technology adoption. You want the tool to fit your business rather than your business fit the tool. The most established business owners, 2 or 3 well-chosen AI applications in well-understood workflows will produce more value than 10 tools deployed across the business without really a clear use case for each. I'm also a huge advocate for building your own systems, and which is becoming more and more feasible for others to do. If you can't find a tool that meets your need, now we can really create our own. We can create a brief of what we need and we can get the tools to build it. The third thing is AI augmentation. And what I really mean here is AI used to enhance and amplify human capabilities. You might hear that, augmentation or human to AI augmentation. And essentially it's AI being used to build, to amplify what humans are capable of. Once we've got the foundations, once we're really clear on the workflow and processes, and we understand what we want to get out of it, then we deploy the tool. And this is where the compounding begins. Clean data plus really clearly defined workflow plus the appropriate tool produces results that look substantially different from the same tool deployed without either of those things underneath it. The businesses capturing real AI value are operating at stage 3. The ones experimenting with AI are jumping to stage 3 before stages 1 and 2 are in place and not getting consistent results. You might be the same. You might have already skipped stage 3. Don't worry. That's what a lot of people do. You don't want to have to do all the admin work to get the fancy results that we've been hearing about. You may have deployed a tool because a competitor was using it, or because you saw a demo and it was really compelling because of the outcomes that you could get, or because you read about it and it seemed immediately applicable to your business. So you rolled it out and it was either abandoned within a few months, or it's used inconsistently by the team, or the outputs require enough checking and editing that really the time saving has never materialized in practice. Or you might have a team member who's really enthusiastic about AI and they took ownership of the transition and they built a personal toolkit that works well for them individually, but the business processes haven't changed around those tools and the rest of the team's not using them consistently, and the value lives in that one person rather than embedded in how the business operates. Or you may have decided to move quickly because the consistent message from everywhere is that AI is moving fast and you need to move with it. You added AI capability across several areas at the same time. You generated useful looking outputs. And 6 months later, the actual usage patterns look about the same as they did at the start, and you're not sure what to do next. These are definitely not failures necessarily. They're just really good learnings, and it's built confidence to use the tools, but now's the time to go back and consider the foundations so you can get some real outcomes from the technology rather than just mediocre ones. I mentioned that we'd been tracking what it looks like for our alumni and recent participants in our programs. And here's an example of a participant in our AI embedded industry growth program who made a deliberate transition from operating a single site business to architecting a scalable system-driven multi-site operation. He spent time building the management systems, the margin controls, the workflow, succession planning. He got the foundations right. Then he built AI knowledge systems as the third layer in that deliberate sequence. The AI was deployed on top of structural foundations that were already in place. The result is documented and they hit 40% year-on-year growth before the end of the program. There are a lot of things that could contribute to that. But the bonus of getting those systems in place for the AI is that they're in place for the business too. The second example is an alumni of the Next Level Growth Program. She's now independently building her own AI applications for her business. Again, multi-site. She described being really clear on what she wants and what she wants it to do. The capability and the clarity came first, developed through the programs. Then the tool had something real to work with. She moved from AI user to AI creator. And this isn't because of technical training. It was because the foundational clarity was already there and the tools benefit from that clarity the most. In practical terms, when the sequence is right, AI produces results that are different from the same tools deployed without the foundations underneath. The sequence is the variable that a lot of people might miss because it's not always obvious or sexy to do. But once you understand it, it changes every AI decision you make. If anything in this episode has connected with your experience, the own experience, the most useful next step is to find out which stage of the sequence you could be in. 25/8 has a complimentary small business capability diagnostic. Takes about 8 minutes and gives you essentially insights on your business right now, specifically looking to surface any gaps, most likely limiting how much value you can currently capture from AI. It's free and you can log in to get your results anytime, and we won't spam you with thousands of email. The link is in the show notes. If you want help to build your foundations and start using AI to intentionally enhance your business, our Next Level Growth Program and industry growth programs are for you. If the diagnostic shows your foundations are solid and you're ready to build intentional AI capability, then the Lead with AI program is designed for exactly that stage. We have both a beginner, an intermediate and advanced track for those really wanting to get value from the technology. Because the order matters, the diagnostic helps you find where you're in it. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If it was useful, I'd really appreciate you sharing it with any business owners who are currently in the middle of an AI adoption decision themselves. It might save them from the wrong order pattern and save them a bit of time. And I hope to see you on next week's episode. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Make Time. Every week this season, we're going deeper on what genuine capability development looks like for small business leaders in the AI economy. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. To help other small business leaders, we'd love for you to leave a review or share this episode with them. And if you haven't done so already and want to know specifically where your capability gaps are, the 25-8 Small Business Capability Gap is our complimentary diagnostic tool. The link is in the show notes. It'll help you decide exactly where to focus so you can work smarter, not harder. And see you on next week's episode of Make Time.